Welcome to the Kurt Saxon Show, your countdown to the future. First, I want you to take down my phone number in case you want to call. The number is 501-437-2963. In case you didn't get it, here it is again, 501-437-2963. Sorry, but we can't collect calls. Tonight's topic is Beware Unscrupulous Book Dealers, from U.S. Militia Volume 1, Issue 1. Several years ago, when I began getting a lot of publicity warning of civilization coming apart, a particularly corrupt branch of the sucker book field was established. The suckers these books are directed at are those who know things are bad and are getting worse. To such book dealers as Delta Desert, Paladin Press, Lumpanix Unlimited, and Butoku Kai, those who would prepare for an uncertain future are fair game. They reasoned that since this class of suckers was only fantasizing, it was all right to just feed those fantasies. They needed no real knowledge, accuracy was unnecessary, and any material which could be passed off as secret, underground, classified, dangerous was sucker bait. Books on destructive devices are falsely advertised as CIA, Frankfurt Arsenal, real super stuff. Most of their material on improvised weaponry is not CIA, etc., but simply from military manuals. Actually, I already have all the better material from the military manuals in the Poor Man's James Bond series. What they advertise as real Terminator material is mostly what I rejected as uninteresting or impractical in light of better methods. But this same uninteresting, unimportant, and impractical material can still be sold to suckers. Then there is that material written by ignorant jerks who don't know their subjects and couldn't sell the material to ethical publishers. But if it reads well to a child, the suckers will buy it. Other books, or booklets, as most of them really are just plain silly, like Desert's improvised batteries and detonating devices. This is a hodgepodge of impractical information, some even unrelated to the title. Page 2 has gels. Oil gelatin in automobile engines causes permanent damage to moving parts due to oil starvation. The most successful gelling agent among those tested is N-cocoa Y-hydroxybutyramide. This substance can be added to the engine oil pre-sensitized, or it can be formed in situ by the reaction between the cocoa amine and butyrylactone. I've been reading that, and I still am. I can't pronounce it, gelling agent was used to completely gel an automobile engine cooling system. Now, why would the scientist who could understand that and get it be messing with people's cars' engines? I've never heard of it, but the clincher is that the stuff doesn't even work before 18 or more hours. The parts on batteries are extremely technical and require a much higher education in chemistry and electronics than the line soldier or average man possesses. It wasn't tailored just for anyone who can read, as books on anything improvised should be. In short, unless you have a really good background in science and have access to materials even I would find hard to get, the booklet is worthless. Another example is Improvised Munitions, Black Book, Volume 3. Pages 13 to 15 describe a grenade made up of a short piece of pipe threaded on both ends and capped. It's filled with dry potassium chlorate, sulfur, and ball bearings and will explode on impact. The reader is cautioned not to use it after 5 days. Bad. When sulfur is exposed to oxygen, molecules of sulfuric acids are formed, which can explode potassium chlorate. Pure sulfur doesn't react spontaneously with potassium chlorate. Pure sulfur is that which has not been exposed to the air. Raw sulfur is burned and the fumes are condensed in a large hood. The flowers of sulfur are scraped off and packaged airtight when meant for fireworks or explosives makers. They know it has not been exposed to air. But how do you know the sulfur you're using has not been exposed to air for who knows how long before being packaged as garden sulfur or uses other than for explosives? It's still fine for gunpowder or most any fireworks not using dry potassium chlorate. Still, you don't know if it's dangerous for a grenade even if you've just opened the package. The device is stupid and extremely dangerous to its maker. At any rate, never mix dry sulfur with dry potassium chlorate. That book is filled with seemingly clever items, but hard-to-get ingredients. It's dangerous, impractical, and filled with overly complicated processes. Then there's Paladin's Hitman. I think the writer meant to discourage any reader from actually hurting anyone. The main emphasis is on not getting caught, making the hitman so paranoid and overly cautious that the job would never get done. If anyone tries to kill me, I hope he goes by that book. A real clunker is the Anarchist Cookbook. Its author was a real anarchist and just wanted to cause trouble, but he had no knowledge of the material. The book is a mishmash of useless formulas and outdated weaponry. Also, he filled about half the book with instructions for making drugs. Weapons and drugs don't mix, and any reader would have to be high on LSD to be stupid enough to shoot a Molotov cocktail from a shotgun. I read the silly book years ago and reasoned that if anyone could sell such trash, I could do better. So I wrote The Poor Man's James Bond. The rest is history. Now for the ninja books. Lies grown from myths. If you want to be a ninja warrior, I'll tell you what to do. Take off your shoes and socks, put a bag over your head, and bounce off your walls for at least an hour per session. After a few sessions, you'll be as good at ninja as anyone who has ever depended on those idiotic ninja books to learn martial arts. You don't learn martial arts by reading. Get with a buddy and practice the moves and holds of the jiu-jitsu and the Army Marine hand-to-hand combat in Poor Man's James Bond 1 and U.S. Militia. A few weeks' practice in your spare time will make you more than a match for any undisciplined punk you meet. But if you want to go on to make martial arts a part of your life, you'll have to join a karate, kung fu, or taekwondo school near you. In the real world of martial arts, it's instruction by a professional and practice, not fantasizing through books written for suckers. Then there are detective books for super spies and secret squirrels. I challenge anyone to find a real private investigator who has got his start by reading even the best of those books. If that's your interest, look up Private Investigator in your phone book and visit a real private detective. It's mainly drudgery, not really romantic, and very down to earth. The person you talk to will tell you the real way to become a detective, and he may hire and train you if you're needed. If he's a good guy, and he probably is, he'll set you straight one way or the other. Then there are the books. If you want to get in place, isn't it easier to kick in the door, break a panel, jimmy a window? Of course, your fantasy is to pick a lock, enter, and get valuable papers, and leave without anyone knowing you were there. How many books, how many sets of lock picks will you buy, and how many hours of practice on your own common locks will you waste learning this useless pursuit? Several years ago, I took a locksmithing course I saw advertised in Popular Mechanics. The first lesson showed how to make a key for one of those locks made up of layers of metal. The idea was to hold a blank key over a candle and cover it with soot. When the key was pushed in the lock and twisted, the insides would take off the soot at the right points. After using a thin, flat file to file those places, the key would open the lock. It worked. The second lesson came with a practice lock, and I learned about it, but it was too involved. Since I didn't really want to be a professional locksmith, I sent the lessons back, telling them I didn't want back what I'd paid, but I didn't want any more. If you're serious and want to be a locksmith, get a professional course as I did. By the time you've finished it, you'll be a locksmith. You can set yourself up or hire out to an established locksmith. Other than this is just silliness. Now about those revenge books. Some of the ideas are clever, but too few are practical to make the books worth their cost. You could get the same quality of practical jokes and dirty tricks by inviting a few guys over to kill a keg of beer. While researching my article on Clarence's visit to Washington, I learned the glories of superglue. Treat your enemy's car and door locks to a squirt of liquid superglue. 15 seconds and the lock has to be replaced. Just think of the possibilities. And it's available in most stores and supermarkets. Choose your victim. While at work, find his car and superglue his locks. Then while he's deciding whether to break a window to call through or call someone to take a door off, drive to his home and superglue his door locks. You might even stop off at the post office and close his box. This would be an awful way to treat a guy, but you could turn his life around undetected with one small tube of glue. A tube of such glue could also disrupt businesses of all kinds as they couldn't open up in the morning. For a pure practical joke with superglue, follow your victim around until he sits down. Of course, this would mean going with him to a bar for drinks or to a restaurant, or in the office you accompany him to his desk. Naturally, this would mean he's not a blood enemy. Of course, you don't want him to make the connection of you being nearby when it happened. But you've got 15 seconds, remember? A few seconds before you know he's going to sit down, squirt some super glue on the seat. It's thin and there wouldn't be enough for him to feel through his pants. Now he's going to have to get out of his pants, maybe even his shorts, to get up. Imagine and enjoy. Super glue is terrible stuff. In Houston, a woman couldn't get the top off a tube she had used. She put the cap in her mouth to hold it tight so she could twist it better. The tube split and it squirted all over her lips. She had to go to the emergency ward where they actually slit her lips open with a scalpel. Super glue is not to be fooled with. If you have any good practical jokes or dirty tricks you know would work and aren't complicated, send them in. Getting back to the subject of bad books, the titles and categories I've listed are not exceptions. They're typical. You're safe by not buying anything at all from dealers who will sell such books, regardless of whatever else they sell. A Canadian who called said he had bought a bunch of books from Paladin Press and was so angry and disappointed he threw them away. I'd have sent them back. You ought to realize that the people who publish such trash don't care if the books are inaccurate. They rely on your lack of understanding to make you think you just bought something you weren't ready for. There are two reasons you may not understand the book you get from such dealers. The book may be good, but very technical. Of course, the ad for it leads you to believe it was written just for you. That's deceptive advertising. You may buy the book and decide to study up on the subject later. It's unlikely, but you might. But what if the book was written by some phony who counts on you to think you're too dumb to understand it, when actually you don't understand it because it simply doesn't make any sense? If you don't realize this, you may be in danger. This can come about when you think you have what you need on a subject, only to find out it's garbage when you or your friends use it. That's too late. Incidentally, if you find any errors in my books, I want to know about them. I'll print the corrections here and also put the corrections in the next printing. Okay, here I am again. The phone number is 501-437-2963. Let's hear from you people. And the address for the $10 information packet, including a sample copy of U.S. Militia, a sample copy of Shoestring Entrepreneur, and the David Koresh Last Testament, is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. That's $10, and also you get a $5 refund on any subscription. Here's a call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hey, Kurt. This is Steve in Pennsylvania.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing?
Doing fine.
I'm a little bit nervous here. I've never been on the air. But, yeah, I've got your books, Volume 1 and 3. And I also have subscribed to some of the books available through CRB Research and so forth. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, you're right, they just aren't worth what you pay for them. But without doing that, then sometimes it's hard to find out, information about the topics you might be interested in.
Well, in most cases, what they do is they write fantastic ad copy, but the information is shallow or ridiculous. And you don't want to be caught with that sort of stuff. Now, to make an unfavorable comparison, with my books, most of the reprints are from books that were printed when you couldn't submit garbage to a publisher. They just throw it away. But today's publishers of that sort of books, if it reads good to a child, as I said, they'll print it. And you're not going to call them up and say, hey, I tried to make a bomb, do something illegal, and it didn't work. So they depend on people not asking for their money back.
Right.
But I found, looking through the catalogs for these other books, that the only talent that people have who publish the books is the talent to write very seductive ad copy. So you read the ad copy, and it's fantastic, but there's really nothing between the covers. In fact, I used to sell them at gun shows, and when I got around to actually reading them, I was ashamed of myself.
Well, most of them were, I've bought 5 or 6, and I don't mean to be critical of your books. Your books are pretty good. I thought in cases they could have been structured a little bit better, but the information was very good. Then there were also, I didn't have Munitions 3, but you're right, they were just from military manuals.
Yes.
One had some interesting formulas on black powder and things, Black Munitions 1. But then I've also had quite a few bad experiences.
Well, it's up to you. If you want to buy 10 books hoping to get 3 that's worthwhile.
No, I don't. Yeah, that's right.
That's a big problem, and you can't tell until you actually buy them. So when you find a company that will sell spurious goods, it's best just to avoid everything because, like I said, you can't tell until you get the book. But if the company will sell a book which is absolute and utter garbage, then they lack the integrity to assure you that you're going to get the proper information. Now, maybe you wouldn't understand it because you don't have education in that line, so you think, well, I'll have a buddy do it because he's a major in this and that. But in many cases, you don't understand it because there's nothing to understand.
Right. Well, recently I've gotten out. I mean, I was reading those books mostly just for informational purposes. You know, I wasn't running around. That's the other thing is, though, people will stereotype you. If you have an interest, like even just getting, you know, your poor man's James Bond books and things. I mean, if you just have an interest in survivalism or whatever, and you're just reading them mostly for information purposes and just to have some awareness of what does go on, you know, in the underground and so forth. If anybody ever found out that you know, were reading this kind of stuff, especially if anybody, you know, of law enforcement or whatever, they just think you're just a total loony.
Well, I don't think that because...
No, I know you don't, but...
No, I know that. What I mean is that my readers are a cross-section, and I should suppose that most of the people who buy my books like to fantasize making those things, like Clarence. People read about Clarence, and they're not going to run out and kill Martians. They think it's a fun story, and they figure, well, look, if the Martians should invade, or if we should get an invasion from Guatemala, who knows, I might use this material. But in the meantime, they simply like to fantasize about it, but I make sure that the material is authentic, and my competitors don't.
You know, it's a lot better than sitting around watching the idiot box, you know, at night. You know, I'd rather be reading something.
Yeah, but you see, when the collapse comes and you are really up against it, then you want to make sure that the books you have are dependable.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I guarantee about mine. Because, see, I've got a cause, and my competitors just want to make money. I think they ought to sell rugs. Because it's not fair to sell something that someone may need someday and then find that he just doesn't have anything there.
All right. Well, the other thing is you have to really, in order to find these books, these days in particular, I mean, once you get on a few mailing lists, you're all set. But these are definitely these are books that you're never going to find in any bookstore or anything. Even like Granddad's old formulas for, you know, fireworks. It's just everybody is so paranoid today.
Well, I think Volume 1 of The Poor Man's James Bond pretty much covers fireworks, and I would like to, in time, with U.S. militia, since I've covered so much in The Poor Man's James Bond, to supply the person who is interested in those things with everything he might need, so he doesn't need to worry about going far afield to find something on a subject. You tell me a subject you want to know about, and if it's something that I haven't already covered, I'll look it up for you, and I'll put it in the next U.S. militia. After all, U.S. militia is going to cover all kinds of weird things. Now, the next issue is going to cover how to set off squibs by remote control with little gadgets you can get in Radio Shack for just a few dollars. And, of course, you know the ramifications of that are tremendous.
Yeah. That's one thing lately, since I've graduated from college and have this piece of paper that I spent 5+ years to get, it doesn't do me any good.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, that's what I've been really getting into.
Yes.
Radio.
Yes.
CB, ham, shortwave, whatever. Which is, of course, how I picked up on your broadcast between 7 and 8. What is it? Monday through Friday only, or is it on the weekends as well?
Monday through Friday.
Okay.
No weekends.
Right. But anyway, that's one thing I'd like to see, especially with U.S. militia and so forth. Some ideas thrown out in terms of radio, because one of the most important things you're going to need is the ability to communicate with people either in the field or with the outside world. I mean, obviously you have to take whatever's going on in the outside world with a grain of salt.
I don't do too much with radio because we are an electronic society, and no matter what happens to the system, there is going to be plenty of spare computers and plenty of spare radio equipment.
Oh, sure, but nobody knows what the heck they're doing.
Well, now look, if the amateur, all the amateur in your neighborhood has to do is come to you.
Well, he's going to be that. That's one of the reasons I've gotten interested in radio, is because he's going to be a very important part of whatever comes after the collapse.
Well, you see, all you got to do, if you're interested, if you would like to get into radio, ham radio operation, whatever, just go to your nearest Radio Shack, and the guy and if you'll ask him if there's anybody near you who's a ham radio operator, and the man doesn't mind a call from you, they'll turn you on to many people in your area that have these setups, or they will be glad to sell you a whole setup, because that's the way they make their living.
Yeah, I hate to tell you this, Kurt, but it's funny you keep bringing up Radio Shack. I was working for Radio Shack for a while.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the way things work today, the guy at Radio Shack, the salesman at Radio Shack, is forced. Okay, he's literally forced to sell, $100+ an hour, or he's not going to make any money. And we're talking like $5 an hour. Otherwise, he's getting the guaranteed minimum wage, which is guaranteed under, state and federal laws. And I worked at a slower Radio Shack, so I was just never going to make that money, which is why I used to work there. It's not that I didn't get along with my boss and things.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, now, if you say so, I know it's true.
Right.
At least for your store, but I know the Harrison store isn't anywhere like that.
Right, but if it's part of a big mall or something.
Yeah, well, this isn't.
Right.
This isn't.
Well, the bottom line is, I think for, as far as I know, with Radio Shacks, basically you're paid entirely on commission.
Yeah.
And if I come in and want to talk about CB radio or something, and you go in and you want to talk about computers, the guy has to, talk to you.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that most Radio Shack salesmen specialize in stereo equipment I don't know if they specialize, but that's what they're going to learn about, is the stereo equipment and the computers, simply because that's where their dollar amount is.
Yes. Well, you see, again, I have to go back to Harrison, because that's my experience. It's a small-town Radio Shack. They're not full of customers. They have the time, and they know you're not going to buy out the store, so they don't try to sell you the store.
Right. Well, no, I'm not trying to shoot down all Radio Shacks.
Well, I know, but you see, Radio Shack to me is a source, nothing else.
That's right.
I don't have any loyalty to Radio Shack. Okay, is that about it for now? Let somebody else in?
Yeah, that's about it, except that, I would say people, CB radio, people should take it more seriously, especially like base stations and so forth.
Yes.
Once you get your antenna up there, you can really get some decent transmit and receive distance, like miles or so.
Well, it's a very good thing, and I hope you'll call again.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for now.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, the number is 501-437-2963. If you'd like a set of these tapes, they're $25 postpaid for a week's shows, or $6 each. It's Jeffries Audio, P.O. Box 326, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yes, hello, Kurt. This is Bob from Sound Beach, Long Island.
Hi, Bob.
I want to tell you, I just got your information packet yesterday, and I was very pleased with it. It's everything you said it would be and more.
I'm glad, Bob. Well, most people say it's more. They add the more. I like that.
Listen, I have three things I just wanted to discuss briefly with you.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, can we reach you at this phone number?
Not after the show.
Not after the show. Is there another way we can reach you?
Well, you have the information packet. My phone number is there. Of course, I do have a life.
Yes, I understand that. My second.
If you want to call up and order, or if you maybe want to chat for a couple of minutes, but you know how it is.
Okay, I understand. Well, the second thing I wanted to speak to you about was when things become bad and there's a scarcity of certain items. I was thinking in terms of there possibly being a gasoline scarcity.
Yes.
So what came to mind is I have a lot of power tools, and of course I could run them with a generator, but if I don't have gasoline to run the generator, I have a problem. Now, do you have any information on steam? Because I have the availability of wood where I'm going to be moving to in Florida, in northern Florida.
Well, what I would like you to do, or some other listener, is to go to the Thomas Register. You ever heard of that?
Yes, I have.
Okay, just for the other people's benefit, it's a large set of big green books, and they're in just about every library. Ask the librarian, where's the Thomas Register? She'll send you over to them, and you look. They have the manufacturers of every product in the United States. And look up steam engines, and then see who's manufacturing steam engines, and call them and ask them for a small steam engine, and you'll finally find a place that sells small steam engines. And if you do that, I'd appreciate the call, and we'll share that information with everyone else, because you are right, a steam engine would be much better than gas, because you can use kerosene, wood, whatever.
Yes. My last question was on the Four Winds shotgun. First of all, is there a lot of heat that comes out of that barrel? Are you going to burn your hand holding it?
Well, one lady, Tawanda the Avenger, she experienced that. She also experienced a bruised breast. And so what she did was she took from a large mattress, you know, these foam mattresses.
Yes.
And she cut out an 8-inch by 8-inch thing, and then put a piece of 1/4-inch plywood there on it. And so she put that under her jacket, and there was like a tummy pad for the recoil.
You hold this against your body?
Yeah. Well, you wear it. See, you wouldn't want to carry it around in your hand. But so anyway, so to keep the heat from coming in, it all depends on the pipes that you can buy in your area. Some of them might be slightly inside diameter, less or more. So there might be some heat coming out, which might scorch your hand. You wouldn't even get blisters. But you take another piece of that foam rubber, about 4 inches by 4 inches by 1 inch, simply cut a slit in it and put it over the barrel. See, so this shields your hand from any heat coming up. Also, it shields your hand from any powder particles that might be traced. Of course, you're not going to be caught. You're not going to have anything tested on your hand anyway, but you don't want any heat on your hand.
Well, if the heat is a concern, then what I could also suggest is they do sell this foam rubber pipe insulation for keeping your pipes from freezing.
Well, I know, but you don't want anything that would obstruct the movement of the pipes. So what you do is you just cut a slit in this 4-inch by 4-inch by 1 inch and slip it over the barrel, and then you put your hand over the barrel, see, and your the back of your hand, you know, the chopping part, like in karate.
Yeah.
Okay, that is protected from any heat that comes up while you're holding the barrel.
Now, when the thing is fired, do you hold the front piece and ram the back capped piece forward, or do you hold the back capped piece and ram the front?
Backwards, yes.
Backwards.
See, you rest the handle on your chest.
Oh. And
on the padding, and then you just slam the barrel back in there, and that does the job.
So you can't hold this off to your side and fire it?
Well, one of my readers did, and he said it went 20 feet in back of him, and he wouldn't care to do that in society.
For every action is an opposite and equal reaction.
Yes.
So there's quite a kickback to it.
Yes, there's quite a kick to it, a lot more kick than I had thought. But anyway, when I don't do something perfectly and completely, my readers help me straighten it out. So now we've got that problem solved. But no, you don't hold it in your hand unless maybe you're Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, Kurt, thank you. Listen, I will research and seek out a steam engine that's adaptable or a steam-powered AC generator.
Okay, I think that
I'll let you know what I find out.
You'd be more likely to find a steam engine that you would have to adapt yourself. But in the meantime, I think you ought to subscribe to U.S. Militia, then you'll get the next 2 issues.
I will. I'm interested in everything you're putting out. I think you put out very good information, and you've got a lot of good common sense.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and you will too.
Thanks for being there for us.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, the number is 501-437-2963. Now, oops, here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yes, yesterday you had someone asking about nitrogen packing foods.
Oh, is this Grover?
I don't remember who he was, actually. This is Wayne. I'm in Lafayette, Indiana.
Wayne. Well, you see, Grover called me just after the program was over, asked him to call back, and I was hoping that you were him. But if you've got the same information, wonderful.
Well, basically, for many foods, it's not really a problem to do. You have to have some equipment. Now, what I have is basically a cylinder of compressed nitrogen with a pressure regulator.
Where do you buy it? Does it have a brand name?
I would think that your pressure regulator would come from most any welding supply house, which is also where you would get a cylinder of compressed nitrogen gas.
Oh, okay. So, see, what you're telling people is where to go to get this and what to ask for.
What you would have to have in order to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing you'd have to have is some sort of a vacuum container which can, be pumped down to a vacuum. And the one thing that a person could use for something like that is I have seen some pressure cookers that were metal-to-metal sealed.
Yes.
And that would stand a vacuum.
Yes.
You can also buy plastic bell jar type containers at a scientific supply house.
Yes.
Now that has to be large enough to put the jars that you are going to nitrogen pack in.
Yes.
So the thing is to put the food in the jar, put a lid on it that's loose.
Yes.
And put it in this container, evacuate it, which means you have to have a vacuum pump.
Mm-hmm.
The cheapest vacuum pump, if you have a source of compressed air, is one of the Venturi pumps.
Venturi pumps. Where do you get them?
I've seen Northern Hydraulics selling those, and also J.C. Whitney. Now, I'm not sure what the best deal is right now.
Well, now, what are those places? Are they walk-in places?
No, they're mail order.
Oh, mail order. Oh, then maybe you could get them from Harbor Freight Tools.
They may have it in there.
Yes.
There's the vacuum pump, the Venturi pump you'd want to get nowadays consumes about 1 CFM of compressed air, and I think Harbor may have those.
Yes.
But I would really have to do some more research to tell you what the best source of that is right now.
Yes.
But they cost something in the order of $20 to $30,
mm-hmm.
so they're not that expensive. But then you have to have the compressed air. If you didn't go that route, well, you can find other vacuum pumps, but probably the cheapest is going to be a used refrigeration compressor.
Yes.
Now, that's not going to have a real good lifetime under, a vacuum service because it's going to have poor lubrication.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to take that approach, you might end up, what you really want to do is just oil it every once in a while. But that would be the other cheap approach, and you can usually buy used refrigeration compressors for maybe $20, maybe less. But you can also maybe buy an air conditioner that's not working if you know the compressor works.
Yes.
And get it for basically nothing.
Well, you might be able to talk over such a thing at some air condition repair shop, and they might just sell you all of the material, which is secondhand.
Yeah, right. Which is where you
what
get
we
the
want to
compressor.
What we want to do is to direct people who aren't really familiar with this to someone who will help them with it.
Well, I think that a refrigeration shop is certainly a place where you might find a compressor which is not useful as an air conditioner, but
mm-hmm.
still useful as a vacuum pump.
Okay, so if a person was interested, and they should be, they should call their nearest refrigeration and cooling system repair man and ask if he knows anything about it and could he fix them up with a unit. He might do it for very little, and probably because he's just a very nice guy. Anyhow, Grover called me last night, and he told me about NitroPack.
Right.
Now, that's a brand thing for packing in nitrogen, and I was hoping he had called back. Evidently, he hasn't gotten back yet. But anybody else who knows about NitroPack, it would be nice if I could hear from them, and also I'm glad for your information, too.
Now, there are some things that won't work if you try to nitrogen pack them in this way.
Yeah, what like that?
Some things that won't withstand the vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Soybeans are one.
Oh, okay, then don't NitroPack soybeans.
Now, if you were to take a large amount of nitrogen and flow it through the container that you were going to pack it in, then you probably could succeed. But the approach I was talking about is to evacuate it and then backfill it with nitrogen, and that doesn't work for soybeans. And I don't know what other things it doesn't work for. Basically, it cracks the bean, and then you have some reactions go on that I know you don't want them to go on. I don't know really what happens.
Well, if they're dry soybeans, I don't think you'd need. We save soybeans, and we've saved some for years, and they wouldn't sprout, them being that old, but they have all the nutritive value. I wouldn't pack them in anything. We just got a barrel of them in the back.
Yeah.
So certainty, if it wouldn't work on soybeans, you don't need them on soybeans anyway.
Okay, but I think that you could get most of the oxygen out of your container just by putting a tube down in the bottom and forcing nitrogen through it, and then take out the tube and put the lid on.
Well, I think that's a good idea. Okay, is that it for now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, my number is 501-437-2963. Here's a call already. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yeah, this is Gary from Camden.
Hi, Gary.
Oh, that's how you doing?
Doing fine.
Oh, that's wonderful. I just want to say fuck all you listeners out there.
Gary from Camden is just a typical Rush Limbaugh ditto head, and we got to excuse that type. Bless their hearts. That's the only way they're ever going to get heard, but not for long. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi, Kurt Grover. Kind of hard to get in when you're a good program.
Well, we got these people like Gary. So, oh, well, come on. Now, tell us about NitroPack, Grover, and thanks a lot for calling back.
NitroPack is it's a brand name and a company, and I think you misunderstood me. What I was wanting to tell you and your listeners was a real simple way, the way I nitrogen pack my food, and it's very inexpensive.
Okay.
I go rent a nitrogen bottle, the same as they use on soft drinks, and they're relatively inexpensive. Any place that handles acetylene, oxygen, and that type of compressed gases have these bottles. You put a small down payment down, and you can rent the bottle, and it's like $12.
Would the people there know what you wanted and be able to help you with your setup?
Yes. Now, I don't use a regulator on mine. I just got mine coupled straight up, and I use a 1/4-inch clear plastic hose to a pipe fitting, and the pipe fitting goes to a bushing that goes on the end of the cylinder. And you just crack the valve a little bit. Now, what I do is use 5-gallon buckets, and I use PVC buckets. Some white 5-gallon buckets will soak up moisture.
Yeah.
PVC won't.
Yes.
And I use a PVC black bag inside.
Where do you get this?
Some of these fast food restaurants will sell you these buckets for 50 cents a piece.
Yes.
And I use black polyethylene trash bag, put it inside, I collapse it, I put my hose inside of it, and I turn the valve on, and I inflate that 3 times. Then as my hand is around the hose in the bag, I squash it back down, and I have one of the kids with a funnel, and they pour green in there as I release nitrogen in there, and there's no oxygen in there. I've already got that out.
Yeah.
Very little oxygen comes in there. Now, when the container is full, I take the hose and I stick it down in there, and 2 or 3 different places all the way to the bottom. I got my hand around the bag again. I let the black blow all the way up twice, and then I just put a tie on it.
Yeah.
Put it down and put the lid on. I've got stuff that I've had for 15 years. It's still good.
Good. Okay, again, where do you go to get your basic equipment?
I just go to the hardware. I just take the bottle on the way home. The first time I went, I took the bottle on the way home and had guys at the hardware fit me up the fittings that I needed, which
and
run about $8.
What do you tell the hardware store man that you want to do with it?
Well, you take the bottle inside and you tell him you want to couple up to this. Don't tell him you want to fix grain on it because you're going to...
Well, you'd probably confuse him. What I'm talking about is, what do you tell your hardware store man that you want?
Okay, you want to couple up to that fitting.
Okay, well, what fitting? See, the thing is,
one fitting sticking out. There's,
I know. But if I go to my hardware man and I say I want something to couple up to this fitting, he's going to say, "What are you talking about?"
I live in a real small town, and they usually don't ask questions. They wait to see what I come up with next.
Well, I know, you see, but the thing is, you obviously know a lot about this. I'm talking about someone who knows nothing about it, who wants to get yours set up.
I'd say the average person in the hardware store will definitely help you without any question.
Okay, but what do you take to him?
Just take the whole bottle.
What is the whole bottle? What do you call the bottle?
Okay, you know, it's like I'm thinking that you know things that I'm taking for granted you know things.
You mustn't do that.
Yes, I know. I understand. I'm not good at this.
Well, neither am I. That's why we're.
Let's talk about an oxygen tank.
Okay, oxygen
acetylene tank.
Okay. Now which? Oxygen or acetylene? Oxyacetylene?
Yeah. It looks like an oxygen tank, but it's silver, and it's only about a third the size.
Yeah.
It's got 1,900 psi in it, pounds per square inch.
Yeah.
So you've got a tremendous amount of nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you just crack the valve a little bit. You have to use a little common sense. If you crack it all the way, it just makes a big spewing noise, and frost comes up around the end of it.
Okay, now the hardware store man will fill that with oxygen, with nitrogen?
Oh, no, you get it at the nitrogen place. You get it at the gas place.
Oh, okay. Now, what is the
gas?
gas?
Stop by the hardware one time, and that's to get it fitted up.
Oh, okay. Now, you get the bottle. You get your basic bottle.
Forever.
Yeah, okay. You get your basic bottle. You get the coupling.
Right.
And then you take it to your gas place or your nitrogen place, but now that's what I'm confused about.
Okay. You have to go there to rent these. People do not own these bottles. Some of us do, but...
Okay, now where are we going?
To a gas...
Oh, a welder shop. My
oxygen, acetylene, nitrogen.
Okay, a welding shop.
Yeah.
You get your nitrogen at a welding shop.
A welding supply place.
Okay, good.
Yeah, now we're good. You go to a welding supply place that handles different types of gases, and you rent this nitrogen bottle, which is about knee-high. It's what they use in restaurants to make soft drink dispensers work.
Yes.
It's very common. They'll have 200 or 300 sitting there.
Yeah.
And you can rent these. You can rent them like for a week. They're about $12, and there's about a $5 service charge.
Yeah.
And then you stop by the hardware and get your fittings. And once you get those fittings, you'll get a coupling, and then you'll get a reducer that a 1/4-inch hose will fit over.
Yeah.
Then that's yours for life. That's all you need.
Okay, so you rent the bottle, but you don't use it all the time. You rent it, and then you do what you have to do with it, and you take it back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good.
You ever find one of these, and it's your very own. You rent one time, and you buy it, and you go to Napa, and you pat the guys on the back at Napa, and you've got this empty bottle.
Well, what do you mean? Go to where?
Napa National Auto Parts.
Is that in every town or a lot of towns?
Yes.
Okay.
They make farm equipment hoses. They will make you up a double fitting to match two bottles together. So you go rent one, and you don't use it all, and you want to keep what's left. You lay the one that you rented uphill, and the empty one downhill, and turn both valves on. And since it is in liquid form while it's under pressure, it will drain into the lower bottle.
Okay.
Then you have saved half a bottle.
Okay. Is that about it for now?
Well, I've got one more little thing.
Okay.
Vacuum pumps. All of these vehicles running on the road has a vacuum pump on it.
Yeah.
That is part of the emission system. You can go to the junkyard, and a lot of people just throw them away. You can find these vacuum pumps with a little electric motor that does a wonderful job.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, so we got a lot of sources for a lot of things, and I sure thank you for your information.
I wish I could. I do better with my hands, face to face, and I can't on a telephone.
Well, you've done real good. You've given a lot of good, useful information. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Okay, bye for now. Okay, my phone number is 501-437-2963, and my mailing address is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. And for $10, you'll get that packet plus a $5 credit on anything else you buy. Hello, Kurt here.
Kurt, this is David in Ohio.
Hi, David.
Called you last week.
Yes,
Hearing
David.
you talk about this nitro pack and everything, I think maybe an easier way of doing this is whatever you might be using for an airtight container, we'll go get some carbon dioxide ice, dry ice,
yeah,
and just take a few pieces, break it up. Of course, use precaution in handling the dry ice, and take a few pieces, throw in the bottom of your container, and then put your grain on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you let that dry ice turn back into a gas, and you'll see, as it gets cold in there, see it fill up with the carbon dioxide. And then when the dry ice is just about expended itself, then put your airtight lid on it, and that's going to be cheaper, and you don't have to have any special equipment.
Well, that's very good. And you know something else that I read about you could use for dry ice?
Yes?
Well, say that you're close to somebody you don't much care for, and if they're asleep, you suspend that dry ice over their head. And what it does when it decomposes, it covers their face with carbon dioxide, and they never wake up. What do you think of that?
Well, I suppose that's possible, but that's not what I had in mind.
Well, I know. I just threw that in. That's a freebie.
But I think it would be cheaper, and you could probably get the dry ice just about maybe any ice cream shop where they, make homemade ice cream. That's where we get ours.
Well, I tried to get some in Harrison, and they told me I'd have to go to Little Rock for it. So maybe it's only in the bigger towns.
Well, I'm not in too big of a town, but there's some places here that make homemade ice cream, and whenever we have picnics or something, we go there and get our dry ice to keep our ice cream frozen until we're ready to use it.
Well, that is an excellent way to do it. All you do is you just drop a pellet of dry ice in there, and that will replace all of the air, and it'll kill any bugs, and it will do a very good job.
I think it'd be cheaper and a lot easier to do. The only thing is, of course, you'd want to put up a lot of grain. You go get your dry ice and do a lot of it at one time.
Yes.
Well,
you'd have to do it at one time because it doesn't last long. I remember when I was a child, I'd play with it a lot because we could get it in Brooklyn, and we like to put it in a glass of water, and it would foam and bubble, and the carbon dioxide would come out in like very dense white smoke and roll along the table, and we had a grand time with it. But it didn't last long. So if you're going to use it, you buy what you need for one use because you can't store it.
Yeah, you can keep it for a while in a styrofoam cooler or something. But
well, I mean, what kind of a while is?
Oh, probably pretty much of the day.
Okay, but you see, it's
taking it on picnics to keep the ice cream.
Well, it is a one-shot deal. You can't keep it for a few weeks.
No.
See, so what I meant was that you get all set up to use it, and then you go get your dry ice, and then just do it then.
That's right. Have your airtight containers, whatever they might be, have them ready, and your grain and everything, and do it, in one afternoon or something, and rainy day or something like that, and put you some up, and then 6 months later maybe put up some more or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just add that. Might be easier for some people.
Well, it would be, and then of course for other people they would like to pack it like the other gentleman told me about. So there's just all kinds of ways, and what we'll do on this program, whatever is easiest for anybody, they can find something they can make do with.
Okay then. Well, I'll let somebody else have it. Have a nice evening.
You too. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Okay, the phone number is 501-437-2963. The address is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. And that's for $10. You'll get the information packet with the David Koresh, U.S. Militia, and Shoestring Entrepreneur. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Kurt?
Yes.
Hi, this is Tom from Chicago.
Hi, Tom.
Calling in reference to that gentleman that was talking about radios and stuff. I happen to be a ham radio operator. I'd like to give him a little information if he wants.
Okay.
Radio Shack has an excellent book called Now You're Talking, that if you get that book, you can get totally into ham radio that way. Or I have a number here for the American Radio Relay League, which runs most of the testing and everything. And if you call them, they'll put you in contact with hams that are interested in training you.
Oh, okay. Well, everybody get your pencil down and take this down whether you're really interested or not, because you might think about it and get interested in it. So,
here is area code 203-666-1541. And just I'll repeat that. Area code 203-666-1541. Just call them and tell them you're interested in getting licensed, and they'll send you out a whole printout of all the people in your particular area that are interested in training you. Also, they have what's called Ham Fest in your area normally, and it's like a giant flea market for radios and stuff, and you can get really involved with it that way.
Well, it's a great hobby, and people really love it, and it really doesn't cost as much as people might think. And as the earlier caller suggested, it would be very handy when things get worse, when communications breaks down.
Yeah, in fact, there's kits available for as low as like $30 that you can, it's bare bones stuff, but you can get involved with it that way.
Yeah, well, you'd also meet a lot of nice people.
Sure. And when did you start this program?
About 3 weeks ago.
Okay, I just started listening since Tuesday, and I've been
4 weeks
impressed.
ago. 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I'm going to send in for the information pack. One question, how much is the James Bond book?
Well, they retail for $18, but if you subscribe to the to Shoestring Entrepreneur or U.S. Militia, then you get 10% off.
Is that a monthly magazine?
Well, the U.S. Militia and the Shoestring Entrepreneur come out when I can get them out. I'm working on issue 4 of U.S. Militia now, and it should be ready to print in about a week.
Okay.
So, and you start with the first 3 issues, and you get the 4th issue just as soon as it comes out.
All right.
You'd have a lot of great reading there.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to take any more of your time, and I'll continue listening.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, my phone number again is 501-437-2963. The mailing address is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yes, I just now come across your program on the shortwave radio.
Yes.
I was wondering what all frequencies this is on, because I'm having a real hard time.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 5.810 megahertz.
5.810. Okay, right now I'm on 11770, and I'm having a lot of interference. I'm just down here in South Arkansas, and I just now come across it. And I'm real interested in your program here.
Yes. Well, I hope you can keep picking it up.
I was wondering, what days are you on?
I'm on Monday through Friday, starting at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock? How long does it run? An hour?
Till 7.
Till 7. Well, good deal. That's a very interesting program this evening. On your program, you just mentioned the newsletter.
Yeah.
Oh, you said for $10. What all do you receive?
Well, that is an information packet. You get a sample copy of U.S. Militia, a sample copy of Shoestring Entrepreneur, which tells you how to sell anything you can make or grow, put yourself in business. And then there's David Koresh's Last Testament, and that will give you 5% credit on either subscription. So that way you're only paying $5 for a good look in the Koresh book. And I just want to make it easy for you. I just want to let you know that those 2 publications tells you all about my books and tapes. And so if you subscribe to Shoestring Entrepreneur, you'll get a bunch of back issues of The Survivor at no charge. And, of course, all that will give you 10% off on all of my books and tapes. And you just learn all kinds of stuff, maybe like what my granddad taught me in Arkansas.
Right, yeah.
Stuff that our grandparents knew.
Yeah. I've got lots of your books already, and they're very interesting, and I will subscribe to it. And is that, I did hear Box 95?
P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611.
All righty. I appreciate it very much, and I will be listening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, my phone number is 501-437-2963. And we've got 4 minutes left here. Here's another caller. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
How you doing, Kurt?
Doing fine.
This is the Biggin down here in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
And we sure enjoy your show.
Well, I'm glad you do.
I just like a little input on what you think about the DEA and just your philosophy on them in particular.
Well, the DEA, that's the Drug Administration, whatever. Bless their hearts. They work for the government, so just give them as much sympathy as you can. They got this drug war going, and they lost from the beginning. Since they started trying to suppress they started trying to suppress drugs and drug traffic, it has grown 10 times. It's made multi-millionaires out of people who probably wouldn't even gotten into the business if it hadn't been for the DEA. And the DEA is a good example of what would happen if the government should try to suppress the gun traffic. I mean, can you imagine what would happen if the government should actually try to suppress the gun traffic with their record with drugs? Well, with their record on anything, and now that we've got Clinton in office, it's just every man for himself. It's a circus.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we got 2 minutes. My phone number is 501-437-2963, and the address is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi, Kurt. This is Glenn from Florida.
Glenn, we just got a couple of minutes.
Okay, I'll be real quick. The man back about 4 calls ago was talking about PVC buckets.
Yeah.
Where can you get them, did he say?
Well, at most, let's see, I'm not quite sure where he said. I think it's places that, well, I'm getting it written down here because I don't have any kind of memory. Let's see. Restaurants and bakeries, yes, because, see, they get their raw materials delivered in those buckets, and so they'll be glad to sell them to you for about 50 cents a piece.
Where was it, bakeries, and where else?
Restaurants and bakeries.
Say again?
Restaurants and bakeries.
Okay, thanks, Kurt.
Well, you're very welcome.
We'll enjoy your program.
Oh, well, just keep listening, and I'll keep talking, and I'll be saying things here that you won't hear anyplace else, and maybe you shouldn't hear.
Well, I think it's interesting, and I hope you get that other hour.
Well, I'll sure try to.
Real great.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I got 1 minute more. Anybody wants to come in here? Anyway, my mailing address is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. Send $10 for the intro packet, and I guarantee it's something that you'll really love. Okay. Hello?
Hello, Kurt.
Yes, we're just about off the air.
Yeah, I had a special request. If I give you my number off the air, I'd like to, for Wayne from Lafayette, Indiana, to get a hold of me. See if I can get together with him.
Okay, I'll hold for you then. When we get off the air, then I'll take down your number for Wayne.
Okay, if Wayne can call you, and then you can give his my number to him then.
Okay, Wayne, call me, and I will give you his number.
Right.
Okay, now you hold on.
Okay, thanks.
We got 1 minute? We got a half a minute. So again, I'll give you my P.O. Box number. It's P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas. For $10, you get the intro packet, and if you want to subscribe right off to U.S. Militia, send $35, and you'll start with the first 3 issues. You get the next 9 issues as they come out.